Good afternoon, everyone. My name's David Brown. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Look forward to giving you details about the subjects within the Humanities department and to answer any questions you may have at the end. Before we start, I'm being assisted by the marketing department who will be manning our chat channel today. So if you have any general questions, you can ask them throughout the presentation. Just pop them in the chat box and they'll reply. And I'll be taking specific questions at the end. So we plan to run for about half an hour for the presentation with 15 minutes for questions at the end. So we should be finished in about 45 minutes. So I hope you can all hear me okay and see my presentation on the screen. And please let us know on the chat if you're having any problems and we'll try to sort that out. So welcome. I'm the head of department for Humanities. Okay, and in Humanities, we have mainly A levels. We've got geography, history, the modern history, early modern history, law, politics, psychology and sociology, as you can see. We've also introduced a BTEC and I'll be going through each of those ones individually as we move through the presentation. Nearer the end of the slides, there are other couple of courses that the Humanities department kind of coordinate. They're more general courses and I'll talk a little bit about those as well. Okay, so let's move on firstly to geography. It's the AQA exam board. Now, geography is one of our subjects that has coursework. It's 20% of the overall mark, but 80% of geography is externally set exams. And paper one is physical geography, and as you can see down there, that's all your kind of water, carbon cycles, coastal systems, landscapes and hazards. And then paper two, they're both 40% of the final mark, is human geography, looking at global systems, governance, changing places and resource security. All right, so that's really about how the environment is managed by and for people. Now, also that coursework is actually combined with a compulsory residential trip, and that's to a place called Slapton in Devon. And it's a very, very good residential trip because it really does set you up to organise and get started on your coursework. They're very well qualified people there. All right, and you can choose really from an element, mainly physical geography, but you can really choose from any element of the course. So geography is one of our more sciencey subjects, if you like, in humanities. Okay, it's very adaptable subject in terms of transferable skills, but also, you know, if you're interested in moving on and into kind of work to do with the environment, especially, all right, then geography is the subject for you. In the new A levels, they're not so new now, but the linear A levels, all these A levels and the BTEC that I'm going to talk about are taught over a 2-year period. All right, so apart from the coursework, which you'll do in the 2nd year, all right, most of our all of our subjects, in fact, are examined or finally assessed at the end of the 2 years. Okay, and in geography, I call it a bit sciencey because it has more sciencey elements in it and also a little bit of stats and maths. Okay, so moving on to our first of our history courses. Now, both of the history courses that we offer are examined by the exam board Pearson Edexcel, but history is also in our A levels, is like geography, one of the only subjects at A level that we have in our department that has coursework. And again, that is 20% of the overall mark. Now, if you like your modern history, if you want your history mainly 20th century in the first year, as you can see, you look at Germany and then West Germany. So you really do cover Germany right from the end of the First World War, I should say, right through the Weimar Republic, Nazi Germany, but they're into the Cold War, West Germany, and right the way through to the collapse of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. Spain, a very interesting subject and one not many people cover at GCSE, so that will be pretty new to you. And that really covers, firstly, the causes of a Spanish civil war, and of course Spain stayed out of the Second World War and then remained a fascist state right up until 1978. So lots of interesting stuff there. Now, when you get into the second year, all right, you're looking at a predominantly British course, and it's all about protest and parliamentary reform, the winning the vote, the suffragettes, the trade union movements, the new Labour Party, etc. And then the coursework, some of you may have covered this at GCSE, is the Cold War, and that's a 4,000 word essay. So you get trips to the National Archives to look at actual documents from the time. Not going to be so easy. We have had trips to Spain in the past, although we'll try as much as we can to bring in outside speakers and try to reinforce your interest in that subject, all right, through outside speakers and interesting trips and visits. Now, the other history course, again, same exam board at Excel. This is more if you're looking at the history further in the past. Okay, so we've got Tudor England in the first year, as you can see, and then looking at something that's quite contemporary, really, to Tudor England, which is the first Protestant Reformation, Martin Luther, the original one, all right, in Germany. Lots of this, really, this period of history is about religion, but also we look at politics as well, foreign policy, and lots of interesting social stuff as well about the time. And then we go back in time for the second year and we look at late medieval England, so the Lancastrians, the Yorkists, and actually the rise of the Tudors. And linked to that particular course is your coursework, which is all about the origins of the Wars of the Roses. Again, we are quite close. We have Hampton Court. We go on study days to Hampton Court, to the Tower of London, conferences and lectures by historians. History, if we take those two histories, obviously, because you're analysing, because there's lots of research, it really does open up a lot of opportunities for you, for careers. And of course, it's really viewed very well by universities when you're making your university applications. So moving on, law, very popular subject. Okay, now this is one of the 100% examined courses. Okay, so there is no coursework in law, and mainly, as you can see, you've got 3 papers at the end of the second year. Criminal law, you kind of know what criminal law is. I would suggest it's about criminal wrongs and punishments that are actually punished by the state. Not many people have heard of tort law. Tort really is your civil law. All right, it's kind of private remedies for damage, etc. As you can see, negligence, psychiatric injury, and contract law. Well, both the previous two are kind of regulated by the state, but contract law, of course, is about trying to work out, if you like, the legal elements of contracts between 2 individual parties. Okay, but you'll also look at lots of topics to do with the English legal system generally, legal ideas. Exams, unlike history, which are pretty much essay based throughout, exam questions in law are short answer and long answer questions. Okay, you'll also be looking at the sort of individual professions and careers and positions within the law. So there are trips to the Old Bailey, trips to the Supreme Court, and visiting lecturers. We have workshop days with university people coming in for law. And of course, law, most people that take law do want to go into the legal profession, all right, but you don't necessarily have to take law at university, all right. You could, well, certainly not as your first degree, because then you can take it as a kind of law extension degree once you've done your subject. So moving on, politics, also 100% externally assessed exams, and I think we can say that if you look there at paper 1 and 2 and you think about what's going on in British politics and in American politics, if you have a real interest in current affairs, if you have an interest in political systems, political ideas, this really is the course for you. First year, government and politics of the UK, second year government and politics of the USA, and then there are questions comparing the two systems, such as America's got a written constitution, the UK hasn't. But also you'll be looking at political ideas, not just institutions. Okay, so you'll be looking at things like, what does socialism mean, conservatism, liberalism, and even some of the, let's say, less mainstream ideas like anarchism and communism, and of course something that's increasingly mainstream, which is feminism. So again, like law, the politics exams are a mixture of long and short answer questions, and much like law, you also take trips to the Houses of Parliament, to the Supreme Court. There are visiting lecturers from pressure groups, which is part of the UK government and politics exam. And again, I'll talk about what kind of skills you need in the humanities subjects later, but you know, politics, it's a well set subject and is viewed very favourably by universities for students wanting to go into those kind of humanities subjects. So moving to psychology, another very popular subject, okay, and another, like I said with geography, another kind of more sciencey humanity. Okay, so again, it's 100% externally set exams, and I put some of the topics there that you'll deal with in paper 1, paper 2 and paper 3. While looking at those topics, all right, which are all, I'm sure you'll agree, very interesting topics, you do research methods pretty much throughout the whole course, okay, because they're a big part of psychology. Again, exams include a mixture of long and shorter answers. All right. However, you may have noticed that we do ask for you to have at least a 6 in a science subject to study A-level psychology. And that's because with the new exam, there is a lot more scientific and mathematical, statistical information and formulas that you'll need to get your head round. So it is probably the most sciencey of the humanities courses we offer. Lots of trips, I say, in the future. Hopefully more trips will become available as we come out of lockdown. We have trips to conferences like Zimbardo, very famous psychologist. We have phobia workshops, guest speakers, and go to the Sigmund Freud Museum if it's possible. We also go to a conference in Paris at Disneyland, would you believe, but which is actually a psychological conference for A-level students. And of course, with psychology, you can go into 2 kind of routes, really. You can go into the social psychology route, or you can go into the more sciencey and forensic psychology route. If you're going into the more sciencey psychology, you do want to be thinking about taking biology with psychology at A-level. So sociology is also 100% externally set exams. Okay, now sociology, rather than the study like psychology of how the mind affects people's behaviour, sociology is all about the arguments about how society affects people and how people affect society. So education and research methods, we look at the education system, the reasons why some people do better than others, and we look at families and households. Okay, we look at the changing kind of family, rising divorce rates, and beliefs in society, all about how beliefs have influenced society, influenced people's behaviour, not just mainstream religious beliefs, but also the more out there religious cults, etc., etc. And then a lot of people take sociology now and actually combine it with sociology, especially if they're looking to go into some kind of criminology course at university. And of course, our sociology course is very good for that, in priming you for that, because we've got crime and deviance as a very big topic in the second year. So exams, again, just like law, like politics, they are long and short answer questions. We go to sociological conferences. And again, as I've mentioned there, it's a good foundation for undergraduate study and also careers in criminology, teaching, law, social work. We also deal with a lot of ideas. You've got to be up on things to do with gender and feminism and ethnicity and how these things, and class, and how these things affect your what we call life chances in society. Now, we are predominantly an A-level department. However, all right, we have started and we do now offer BTEC psychology, and that really is for people that, number one, didn't get the science that they wanted but at GCSE, but really wanted to do psychology. Okay, so with psychology BTEC, all right, you don't have to get the 6 in science. You have to pass science, but you don't have to get the 6 because there's less mathematical and scientific content in the BTEC. It's also good for those who prefer coursework, all right, over examinations, because only 50% of it is in examination. And actually you do, unlike the A levels where you take the exams at the end of the 2 years, in the BTEC psychology, you take 1 exam in the first year and 1 exam in the second year. All right. And again, much like the A level, you as a BTEC psychology student will have the chance to go on the same kind of trips and have the same kind of visiting speakers that A level psychology students also have. Okay, and that BTEC psychology is the equivalent to 1 A level. It is the extended certificate. Okay, so that's mainly the key main courses that we offer, all right, in the humanities department. There's general expectations of the college there, but I would say with humanities subject, what you need to, well, what we expect from you, but what you need to expect from the course is you've got to be prepared to do lots of reading and to do note taking at home. All right, we suggest about 5 hours homework per subject per week. Okay, so the way we work, so that we can do lots of debate, lots of discussion, lots of student interaction, coursework, group work if you like, and paired work in class, is because we like you to have prepared your notes and prepared the work previously. So you come into the class knowing something about the course and knowing something about the topic, and we're able to then to take it further and to guide you on analysis and a deeper understanding of the things that you've read about. Be prepared to have lots of notes, have a folder, all right, and we'll give you lots of practice, especially if you're doing all examined courses, I should say, lots of practice in class at doing timed essays, getting you up to scratch and training you for those all important exams at the end of the 2 years. You will have 2 external big exams as well, one at the end of the first year, an internal progression exam, and one just after Christmas probably, which will be your second year, what we might call a mock exam. Okay, so college life, there's some general points there about what you can do and what's on offer at the college, but within the bullet point 4, there's something called EPQ and something called Aspire. So I'll just finish off before questions just by saying that the EPQ is an extended project qualification. Now, it's coordinated by members of the humanities department. It does get UCAS points, okay, but it's also it's looked very well, if you like, looked well upon by universities, because it is, although we guide you, it is an extended project that you do, all right, pretty much on your own initiative on a topic that you're really interested in. So it's something that mustn't be totally related to the subjects you're doing, at least not the specification, but really is an area of your interest that you want to research and write a report on. Okay, and it can be not just anything in humanities, it can be from any discipline. So students across the college can choose to do that. And generally in the, well, second year, often it's lots of second years that do it, okay? And it's something that can add to the attractiveness of your applications to universities. And just finally, the Aspire programme is something that we offer, which is for students who are really aiming to go to Oxford and Cambridge or medicine degrees, or anything to do with Russell Group universities, and who've come in, if you like, with average of 7 and 8 in their GCSE scores, and it gives you a real understanding of the broader knowledge that you'll need to make yourself a more rounded individual applying for universities. I say a more rounded. What I mean is that you get lots of different speakers in from all different disciplines. So you might be doing mainly history and humanities, but you'll hear about science research that's going on at the moment, and you'll get lots and lots of support, specific support for any applications that you might be making to Oxford or Cambridge. Okay, but there'll be more information when you come and enroll, folks, on those, so don't worry about taking that in at the moment. Well, that is really the department in a nutshell. Now I think it's time for me to take questions from you through Claire. So I will sign off now and just wait for Claire to ask me any questions that have come up.
Yeah, thank you, David.
Okay.
We've had a few questions come through which we have answered
Okay.
and published in the chat box, but
Good.
there was a couple. It might be just worth discussing. How many lessons a week would you say per subject?
Okay, right, yeah. Now, all those subjects, apart from the 2 ones I spoke about at the end, but all the A levels and the BTEC, you get 3 lessons a week in each of those subjects. Okay, and they are 1.5 hours long. So essentially, you get 4.5 hours of classroom contact time. That's hopefully, if we can all carry on as normal as we have been doing in September, but as a rule, it's 4.5 hours a week contact time per subject.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Then there's another one. How many students average in a class, would you say?
Right, now, yeah, that varies. What we tend to do is, once there's a class of, if it's getting to 22, 23, we tend to, if we can, open up a new class. So we don't like things really going any higher than the early 20s. But really, on average, I've got to say that, I mean, I teach the early modern history, but I also teach sociology. So I would say, in the first year, average is between 15 and 18 in a class. They may be a little bit smaller, but you can get a class of 20, 22. So I'd say, be prepared for something around 15 to 20. And in the second year, they may be slightly smaller. All right. Okay. But really, 15 to 20 as a general ballpark figure, I think.
Great, thank you. And someone's just asked actually about the Duke of Edinburgh.
Right. Now that is, I think that's organised mainly by Health and Social Care, and I'm not sure which department that is. I don't know if Karen can come in at all. Hello. Yes.
We do offer D of E, and we've got students following both silver and gold.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Great, thank you. Another question. Are there any subjects which naturally would complement each other?
What you mean within the humanities?
Within the humanities, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go on. Is there a supplementary?
Well, yeah, there was a supplementary in that. I guess someone has asked, are there any particular subjects that would go well with the BTEC psychology?
Right. Okay. So firstly, in terms of the humanities, I mean, if you think about law, politics, sociology, history, they really do complement each other very well. And of course, the history complements English in a different department. But sociology and psychology are often taken together. and we have a lot of people that do psychology that also do biology because they're thinking about that sort of sciencey route. Geography people, however, we've also people that do geography don't always just take sciences, they take a multiplicity of different subjects, but you can combine geography with other sciences if you're thinking of going into the geographic field and thinking about your chemistry and things like that. But geography goes very well with sociology and psychology as well because of the human geography, because of the people geography, if you like. But really, you know, history as well, and politics goes very well with economics. But really, you know, you can take subjects that I have people doing sociology that do media study. There is a wide variety of choice, and subjects do complement each other quite well, but especially within the humanities department. On the BTEC psychology, what do people take it with? They tend to take it with perhaps health and social care if we're talking about BTECs. But again, there's people doing BTEC business, BTEC psychology, but actually a lot of people doing BTEC psychology that are also doing other A levels. So, you know, because you perhaps didn't get the 6 to do the A level psychology, that wouldn't stop you from doing A level sociology to go with the psychology. So, yeah, I mean, think about those combinations. Have a look if you're thinking about a career or university application. Have a look at what those university websites suggest might be good combinations. Okay.
Great, thank you. Another question has come in. I mean, I think Karen is actually replying in the chat box, but don't know if you can elaborate on any kind of extracurricular clubs that happen at Strode.
Right. Okay. Now we have, I mean, a number of different clubs. That's more, yes. I mean, that's more the student union kind of student services area. But actually, we do have, you know, different societies and things like that, and I think they might be more information about that on the website. But what we were going to do, and unfortunately lockdown put the kibosh on it, is that we were going to do a whole series of things at the after Easter, where different teachers just offered some kind of new experience and new interest for students to actually engage in. So there was a kind of chess, ranging from a chess for beginners to, well, I was going to do something on the phenomenon of Donald Trump and things like that. So there are enrichment opportunities, and what we have is we have a freshers period. Obviously it will be a socially distanced freshers period, but we have a freshers fair, and at that freshers fair, which is early in the term, you'll see lots of different stalls where you can join up to different clubs and different societies, and student services will help you to set one up if you want to. Okay.
Thank you, David. Someone's put
yeah.
So how long have the geography, sociology and modern history teachers at Strode's been teaching these subjects?
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, Strode's is a nice place to teach. So geography teacher now, I think she's in her 2nd year with us. She's quite new to us. But geography's going very, very well, which is good. Our politics teacher has been, I mean, I will run you through. Our politics teacher, I think, has been with us for 8 to 10 years. I'll finish on mine because it's the piece de resistance. Our sociology teacher has been with us now for about 4 to 5 years. Our law teacher has been with us now for, I would say, probably 10 to 15 years. Let me just go through very quickly. Our psychology, we've got a new psychology teacher, but our other 2 psychologies have been with us for between 5 and 3 years. And our modern history teacher has been with us for 20 years. And I have been teaching history and a bit of sociology and a bit of politics at Strode's for 30 years. So there we go.
Great, thank you. I think there's a couple of questions which I'll actually publish on the chat box about the dress code, which Karen's just answered.
Okay.
Which, you know, is not a formal dress code, but,
No.
you know, comfortable clothing and nothing that's to cause offence. But I think, I mean, that's it for any questions that we haven't answered. I will just leave it open just for another minute or so, just so anyone can ask if they've got any last minute questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it, because nothing else has come through in so thank you, David.
Thank you. Okay, thanks everybody. Shall I just sign off then?
Yes, I think we're going to sign off now. Oh, sorry, one last question actually.
Yes.
Come through. Can we choose 3 humanities A levels, or will these clash?
Oh, no, we try to avoid clashes as far as possible, so they shouldn't clash. The only thing you can't do is choose 2 histories. All right, because they're both just down as history ed excel. So if you like history, you have to choose one or the other. And obviously, yeah, that's it really. That's the, you know, we don't really tend to have clashes. All right.
Great, thank you, David. Just, I guess, for everyone to know that this recording will be available on the website as well, so you can always refer back to it, and also it will be emailed out to everyone that has registered. But I think that's it. No more questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
Okay, thanks everyone. Goodbye.